So when it comes to the big issues of supervisory focus over the next 12 months, we have identified 6 more, so very symmetrical list. So the first of our 6 is culture and governance, a familiar issue, but clearly supervisors see firms' culture and governance as crucial to addressing the root causes of both prudential and conduct failings. And as a result, we think they'll be intensifying their oversight of firms' culture and their governance and risk management frameworks. So a lot there. Supervisors will also focus increasingly on diversity and inclusion at both board and senior management level, especially I think as a way of trying to avoid groupthink and ensuring that there's really effective challenge, particularly at the board level. That is a particularly nuanced area for both firms and also supervisors. So I think work in progress there. Scrutiny of firms' business models is also set to continue in 2019, I think especially given the changing risk environment. We've had a decade of accommodating monetary policy, which appears to be coming to an end. And interest rate rises, even if slow and modest, are, I think, a double-edged sword. For banks, for example, the positive impact on net interest margin may be offset by higher debts. Moving along, political uncertainty is rife, and indeed technological innovation may disrupt and transform the way financial services are delivered. I think against that context, we're going to see supervisors really wanting to understand how firms are responding to all of these risks, including through stress testing on an idiosyncratic as well as sort of market-wide basis. Moving on, firms' use of data will be another important area of focus over the next year. As firms seek to make greater use of consumers' personal data, both they and supervisors will be keen to prevent a sort of Cambridge Analytica moment in the financial services industry, given the harm that it could do to consumers' trust. With GDPR and PSD2 in place, supervisors now have both the basis and the tools to take a much closer look at firms' use of data. Coordination between FS regulators and data protection authorities will become increasingly important. And in that area, I think it's fair to say that the UK looks to us to be ahead of the game in this respect. Now, another issue we see supervisors focusing on is access and vulnerability. Letitia's already touched on vulnerability. Supervisors are concerned about financial exclusion, particularly as a result of growing digital distribution. And that will mean that supervisors will continue to scrutinise the levels of access that more vulnerable groups have to financial services products and services. And supervisors will also focus on firms' policies and practices to ensure that vulnerable consumers are not put at risk by poor firm conduct. Testing for cyber vulnerabilities, moving on, will be another important area for supervisors. As technological change and the use of digital business models continue, cyber-related risks have risen up the regulatory agenda, no doubt about that. Supervisors across Europe will step up their scrutiny of firms' cyber resilience in 2019. And I think there, the most interesting new addition to the cyber testing landscape in 2019 will be the introduction of the Bank of England's Financial Policy Committee's scenario-based cyber stress test. That, we think, is going to simulate a cyber attack which interferes with the UK payments infrastructure. So really important. Finally, supervisors' focus on model risk management, an issue we highlighted last year, isn't going away. Supervisors will want to continue to want firms' senior management and boards to improve their understanding of the weaknesses and the strengths of internal models. Not only the models that are used for regulatory capital, but also those which underpin or inform strategic decision-making and other aspects of the business. Governance and oversight of such models is key, and supervisory expectations are definitely rising here. So that concludes what we see as the major supervisory challenges firms will face in 2019. Again, I'm going to turn back to Andrew and ask him to find out what our panel thinks.